Alrighty, my fellow automotive degenerates. I'm just gonna go ahead and swap the bearing and hub on my Sebring. Oh, look at little WD-40 got on the rotor. I'll probably crash and die. No, I'll just hit it with some brake cleaner. It's no biggie. I'll be honest with you guys. I am not 100% that this bearing is the bad one. I'm mostly going off the feel when I drive it. Because really, I mean, to diagnose a bearing, you gotta practically get it all the way out of the car anyway, and then you gotta spin it and feel it. And I decided, you know what, if I'm gonna do all that work, once I'm in there, I'm just gonna replace it. I'm not gonna do 90% of the labor to repair it just for the diagnostic. I'll just replace it and hope I'm correct on which bearing it is. And I'm sure, you know, there's gonna be people who are like, what an idiot, he should have, you know, diagnosed it, then replaced it. Maybe they're right, I don't know. There's always a bigger fish, there's always a better mechanic, but this is what I'm doing, so there you go. Sorry, I had to find my highly expensive, extremely advanced brake caliper hanging tool. Can't remember if these sockets are 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch drive. We're about to find out. I never get to use them. 1/2 inch. Here we go. A 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter. All set. Cool. Okay. Okay. Oop, close. $14. Cool. That's what it was. They're 1/2 inch, but with an adapter. So that's good to know. Now this Milwaukee's been pretty good to me. Sorry if y'all can't see, I'm just busting loose these two 14mm caliper bolts. With my trusty dusty Milwaukee here. Now I gotta rig up a way to hang the caliper so I can remove it. Because you don't want this hanging from your brake lines. I hope y'all can see. As you can see, I'm sitting on my very special, highly advanced, extremely expensive chair. Okay. Right through here, through here. This boot is coming exposed. I'm sure this shock is probably leaking by now. Shocking. Okay. This is the original suspension this car came with, and this car is an 08, so I'm sure it needs all sorts of shit. But for today, we're just worried about the wheel bearing, because the ride on this car really ain't bad. Honestly, it feels pretty comfy to me. One. Looks like this car has a slide pin that's with the bolt. I can't remember. I mess with too many cars, so I can't remember what I have. But looks like that's the case. So we can lube those up before we put them back. This isn't a bad time to inspect my brakes either. Tiny lip on my rotor, which is technically not supposed to be there, but I'm not too worried about it. It's not a big deal on this, such a tiny lip. Still having a little trouble with this bolt here. So right now all I'm doing is getting all the braking components off of the car because they're all in the way of what I actually want, which is the hub. We're not taking the whole spindle off, or at least that's not the plan, just the hub. This bolt does not want to come free. So this is a bad sign, actually. Slide pins should slide. I know, shocker. So the fact that this one won't is technically unsatisfactory. Which is weird because it hasn't been that long since I lubricated it, but I guess, you know, I live in sand and whatnot. Maybe I'm just in a harsh environment for it. There we go. I'm kind of prying it out with these pliers here. There we are. It's good to keep your hand on the caliper while you pull this last slide pin bolt because it likes to fall sometimes. There it is. Yeah, it's pretty dry, so I'll have to lubricate that. Guess I'll go ahead and inspect the brakes while I'm doing this. Here we are. I'm just wrapping this coat hanger however willy-nilly just to keep it from dropping the caliper here. See, that's quite strong. See, the weight is on the hanger. I don't know if you can see that actually. Let me go check the camera. No, you can't really see it. Let me adjust. So the weight is on this hanger here rather than on the brake line. Especially with this car's old. These brake lines, they're old. You don't want to be testing how much weight they can support, you know? Because you're going to find out that it's slightly less than whatever you're testing it with. And then this job, a 10-minute job can become a 10-hour job real quick if you aren't careful. Which is why I always prep. I always have one car that's good and one car that I'm working on. So I have another car on hot standby. If for whatever reason this car, you know, something catastrophic breaks, I can just switch over and drive the other car for a little bit. This socket set right here kind of fails me because it doesn't have a whole lot of sizes. But luckily, it's not my only socket set. So, oops, got these mixed up. There we go. Let me check if a standard will fit. 15s, 3/4 might be the ticket. Nah, too loose. It's metric. Let me go get a metric socket. Let's see if an 18 is the ticket. And I know I'm using shiny sockets with an impact. Sue me. Wait, don't sue me. I can't afford it. But yeah, it's an 18. I really need more impact sockets, but dang, they're expensive. Lower one. Okay, so that bracket's coming off. Looks like it's going to come off with the brake pads. As y'all can see, my rotor is coming off quite willingly. Usually you gotta bang on them with a hammer, but these rotors were assembled using anti-seize lubricant. And the result is, when you go to take it apart again, it's quite easy. Life is good when you put things together correctly. Life is not good when you're careless and drop your brake pads, but the pads are quite evenly surfaced, very thick. So I think when it comes to pads, we're looking quite good. This one has some of my sweat on it, but other than that, they're very thick and smooth. This one's a little shiny. I'm not sure if that's a big deal with this material or not. And then rotor looks quite flat, quite even all the way around, no deep grooves or gouges. So we're looking quite good on the rotor as well. I'm gonna go set it somewhere where it won't get messed up. Oh, here we go. Got a little rug right here. Rotors are pretty resilient, but I still would rather not nick it. Alright, so as far as our bearing, I really can't tell yet if it's good or bad, but let's get some of these bolts out here. I'm always really gentle with the impact, and I kind of like to pulse it, especially on the bigger bolts, because you can easily overheat an impact if you bang on it too long. Should be another one. There it is. Pop this little shield off. So we got 4 bolts on the back here. Let's see what size they are. I don't know. Let's guess 17. I'm feeling lucky. Nope. That was wrong. They are 15s. Right. Get in there and pop them loose. All right, make sure we're spinning the right direction. We are. Oh, we're gonna need an adapter. Sorry about the wait. This will probably all get cut from the video because I want to look cool. Is that my adapter down there? You know what? That'll be my socket set. There we go. Okay, everyone pretend I look cool. Alright. So how are we gonna do this? We'll adapt it. Here. This one. This is a lot of adapters. I hope this works. Oh jeez, we'll see. The adapters can't handle it. 15. Okay, we'll get a wrench. Oh no. All right. Not ideal at all. But... hopefully I'm actually turning it, not rounding it. Turning it, but I need some gloves. Even once this is unbolted, we're not out of the woods. I imagine this bearing is going to be very hard to pull. There we go. Quite loose now. Good. Then we're gonna have to do them all this way. Be able to fit the tool rib on this one. No, not a chance in hell. Let's see. Oops. I don't know if y'all could tell by the amount of sweating I'm putting off, but it's hot out here. This might honestly be a last straw for my adapter here. That's okay. The tool doesn't fit anyway, so it is what it is. Backwards. I don't like doing this, but I don't see any other way. There we go. There we go. Wait, is it loose or did it just slip? Oh, it slipped, sorry. Thought I had it. Sledge. Okay. It's not cooperating. Let's try this. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. Raw muscle's not going to get us there this time. Sometimes it does, but not this time. I have to do it. Here we go. Got my other bag of wrenches. I think I've got a much longer, stiffer 15. Actually, probably about the same size, but it might fit better. We'll see. Yep. This head fits a lot better. So let's see if I can. We're turning now. There we go. You know, I've been doing this amateur mechanical work for a long time now, and sometimes people hit me up, want me to work on their cars. Sometimes people who don't know me too well, and I'm like, hey man, yeah, I can. There's a lot of times it's things I can fix. I can do that. Yeah. So I give you $50 for it. And so I'm like, well, you know, it's a lot of work. They're like, yeah, but it's only gonna take you, what, an hour? Something, I don't know. I'm like, come on, man. Like, spent years of my life learning how to do this stuff. And I spent a lot of real money on tools. It might seem to you like it doesn't cost much, but just the tools required is a huge ask. And I might even damage something while I'm working on it. $50 ain't gonna cut it. There we go. Sometimes all you need is a little muscle. There we go. Now, when the bolt's facing away from you, it's righty loosey, lefty tight. Oops. This is pretty good. Got just a bit of movement out of it. Patience is key in working on your car. That's how you end up. Damn, this thing is just determined to be in the way. There we go. Woo! There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, they're all loose. Alright. So we'll go ahead and start backing them out. We'll get these first because they're easier to access. Now, I'm not too worried about this bearing falling out of here for a whole bunch of reasons. One, it's getting recycled. Two, it probably won't fall out of here because that would be way too easy. I should have done this to begin with, but oh well. There we go. Now it's turning real easy. Not quite easy enough to go by hand, but easy. It is too hot for these gloves. I'm just going to have some dirty ass hands. I'm filling them with sweat. Oh, now you want to be in the way, huh? Come on, get my wrench back. There we go. Alright. So just this portion here where the 4 bolts are should come off. This part, which is the spindle, should stay. Unless something snaps. Looks like the boot is just a little bit in the way. But I think we can still get it. Come on. Do this. There we go. Alright, this one out. Oh yeah, let's do the bottom one. This one's turning nice and buttery smooth. Good. You never really want to try, you don't really want to do adjustable wrenches because they won't stay at the correct size. They'll loosen up as you're using them, and that'll cause damage to whatever you're putting the wrench on. I think I might have to turn the wheel the other way. Let's see. Actually, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't really have to get the bolt all the way out. Just enough that the bearing comes out. Let me tell you, this position is not comfortable. I'm gonna straighten the wheel out so I don't have to put too much stress on the axle. There we go. All right. I cannot imagine this will be easy to take off. Oh, it's separating already. Good. This is just a rubber mallet. Boom. Oh yeah. This thing feels like crap. We'll get the new one. Oh wait. Well, first I'm gonna clean up around there with a little wire wheel. I forgot to get it. Shit. Pee-pee. He's drilling. Boop. I forget which weights are which. Plenty of green, so I guess I'm going feet. Hey! Oh wait, okay, have fun. Where's my... Always, always, always wear eye protection when working with rotary tools. I know so many people have gotten shit in their eye. Last thing you want is a piece of this to break off and go into your eye. Jesus, that would hurt. But people do it. There's a lot of rust in here. I'm running the Dremel at a pretty low speed. Pretty much just fast enough to keep from stopping. Surface, making sure we have as little rust as possible so it doesn't impede the new bearing. All right, looking pretty good. just gonna rinse with a little brake clean because we got a lot of stuff down in there. Powder and dust. Okay. We'll let it dry for a minute while I bust out the new bearing. Ooh, this one feels nice and smooth. Still not quite done drying. Okay, so gotta line it up. Looks like it doesn't matter which side's up or down. So go ahead and just fit it in. Oh, let's turn a little more. There we go. Okay. Pull the axle through. We're going to use the little impact so that we don't over torque it. Ugh. Oops. Put it on low. We're going to thread it so we don't cross thread it. Okay, we'll step the torque up one more step. Now we're going to see how far it came through. Not far. Okay, we'll try again. There we go. It's coming in, but it's not all the way. Okay. It is 50%. Yeah, I think it pulled the seats. Is that as far as it goes? I'm honestly not sure. Let's see. long as it's seated, it should be okay. Because I have a torque wrench, I should be able to torque it down. So, as long as it's fitting. There we go. Yeah, I guess it's all the way in. This is as far as it goes. Okay, well, that's that. Start putting these bolts in. This one's gonna be the hardest. We'll turn the wheel to the left for that one. Actually, turn the wheel to the left now. After these are threaded. Put this nut back, just to make sure the axle doesn't back out. There we go. There we go. This is being done. In you go, in you go, in you go. Come on. That's the right bolt. It's just being difficult. Let's see if I can do it all like that. There we go. Alright, so we've successfully got it on there without harming any other components, which is the majority of the battle, I'd say. Well, it might still harm a component yet, so let's see. There we go. Right tool for the job. Okay. straight up not fit. So we're gonna have to use the open end, which I don't like doing. But that should be on there pretty tight. I'm pretty strong. I'm pretty strong. You fit on there before. Why not now? Oh well. Let's see. Still nothing? Okay. Okay, be difficult. Ugh. Why not? Fuck. Whoops. That was a swear word. Sorry to my viewers. Alright. She's on there. Let's give it a couple more smacks on the axle nut. Cool. Alright. So that's good. That's all on there. Now let's clean and assemble the brakes. Call it a day. Yeah, we're gonna want gloves for this. Okay, let's get some anti-seize. Remember, the anti-seize is the reason I don't have a problem taking my rotors off. So it's always good to recoat it when you go to put your rotors back on. See, it's a brand new hub. The anti-seize is on the old hub. It might be a little bit on the rotor, but honestly, one brush full, the minimum amount you get on the brush, is usually all you'll need for the entire hub. And you just gotta spread it. I try not to get any on the fasteners, because technically the torque spec is intended. Oh, I got some on that fastener. I'll wipe it off as best I can. But technically the torque spec is for the fastener without any lubricant. Technically putting lubricant on a fastener changes what the torque spec is supposed to be. I don't know if it changes it to higher or lower. I honestly don't remember. But I do know that it changes it. It doesn't have to be perfectly fucking artistically coated. You're just trying to reduce the ability of it to rust weld. This prevents rust from welding it to the surface here. Because if this were all rusted together, you'd have a hell of a time getting the rotor off whenever you need to. I mean, I deal with plenty of cars that weren't properly prepped before the rotor was installed, and I just to get a big old sledgehammer and beat it off. But still, it's nice when it just comes off. You always want gloves when you deal with this shit because it gets everywhere. That's that one that I got anti-seize on. As best I can. It's not going to be perfect. Here's another one I got a little dribble on. That'll be alright. Well, at least the bolts won't get stuck on those two. Now we can go ahead and apply our rotor. I take off my gloves because I don't want the anti-seize getting on the rotor surface. Oh shit. we are. And for right now, I'm just putting these on to hold the rotor nice and still while I assemble the rest of the brake assembly. It just makes it easier. Otherwise the rotor will be knocking into everything while I'm trying to assemble it, and it's just a pain. A lot of people will skip this step, and I'm not saying they're wrong. I just like things easier. It's not like this is some written step that says you shall. I don't know. I make this shit up as I go along. I was a mechanic in the Navy, but I worked on submarines, not on cars. Some would say that makes me not qualified. Some would say that makes me too qualified. I would say the first group is probably more correct. But machines are similar to each other. That feels a lot better. Let's go ahead and get that bracket put on. Whoops. Whoops. There we go. Sorry, brain farts. They happen. We're going to run this in on low torque setting. You always want to default to a lower torque setting when you're using an impact. This one is supposed to be only 20 foot-pounds at this setting, which is definitely far below what's necessary. So it should be pretty safe to run them in with this. Then you get an actual ratchet or torque wrench if you're going to be extra correct. In my case, a ratchet's fine. I'm just gonna use my calibrated arm. Can't quite get the leverage I need down there. There we go. Should be nice and good. All right. My sweat keeps dripping all over these, but that doesn't hurt it. There we go. Now the big question is, will the caliper slide over? But first, actually, let's go ahead and grease these slide pins here. Cool up a bit. I'll tell you what, these supplies get expensive, but at least I know the person who worked on my car cares if my car keeps working after it leaves. Some shops, they get you in and out of there. They don't really worry about whether or not their repair was successful. As long as you can roll away, they don't care. Oh, I fucked up. I fucked up. Yep. Do y'all know what I did wrong? I forgot the damn shield. Where's my socket? Oh, here it is. Now, with disassembling parts, you can generally run the torque of your machine as high as you want, because you can't over torque a disassembly. Oopsie daisy. Almost did it again. Whoops. No biggie. I believe it goes like so. There we go. Whoopsies. These fasteners are very small, most likely very fragile. 20 foot-pounds might even be too much, so I'm just gonna very gentle. There we go. Nice and secure. Might be upside down. It's alright. Not gonna be a big deal. Alright. Back to the action. There we go. Alright. Oh, here it is. We all make mistakes, except I'm cool when I make them. There we go. I guess I probably don't have to put all the holes. Just enough to keep it straight. Alright. Back at it. Oops. That happens sometimes. We didn't lose too much progress. That's where we engage the muscles. Alright, once again, the muscles. There we go. Okay, get that brake pad back on there. There we go. Alright. Now, we can go ahead and lubricate and clean those slack pins like we were planning. Come on, hands. Get into them gloves. There we go. Cool. You come here. You come here. Good. Just set it here. Grab some grease. Oh. 5 pins are greased, so our caliper's ready to go back on. Hopefully, I don't need to compress it, but I have the tools to do it if I need to. We'll find out. All right, brakes are reassembled, so we're ready to put the wheel back on and then do our final torquing on the axle nut, and we'll get that hanger off of there. I mean, my highly advanced, extraordinarily expensive caliper hanging system is ready for professional removal. Don't try this at home, kids. I'm afraid the equipment's just out of your budget. What can I say? I'm just so rich over here. If you do have trouble getting your caliper back on over the pads, you can always pop open your brake fluid reservoir at the top and then use a seat clamp and a brake pad or a brake caliper spreader and push the caliper back open, but a lot of times that can damage the brake pad, so maybe if you can find some other object or an older brake pad that fits, that'd be even better. Okay, I'm up. Oh no, I'm not old, I'm young and healthy. All right, I'm old. Okay, y'all win. I'm missing a 15 millimeter. Where are you? Ah. Gotta always reorganize your tools, because once you lose one, that's the one you need every time. Oops. These hydraulic jacks like to slowly sink as you leave them sitting. We'll see if things are even correct here. Might have to lift it up a little bit more before I can put the wheel back. All right. Yeah, it's angled. There we go. So from here, I'm just going to put the lug nuts back, torque them down. Then I'm going to take a 3/4 inch torque wrench and torque that axle nut down. I guess I should record that part. So there's a formula that I was taught how to figure out if you have the right torque wrench for the job. See, I'm going to have to use 2 different torque wrenches most likely, depending on the torque spec of the axle nut. Basically, the desired torque should fall within 20 to 90% of the effective range of the torque wrench. So say a torque wrench's range is from 0 to 100 foot-pounds. It has a range of 100 foot-pounds, right? So that torque wrench is usable from 20 to 90 foot-pounds, because that's 20% to 90% of the range. Now let's say the torque wrench went from 50 to 150. The range still only varies by 100 foot-pounds. So you would take the min, which is 50, add 20%, right? 20% of the range, which is 100. So 20% of 100 is 20. Add them together, 70 foot-pounds would be the bottom of that torque wrench's range, right? Then you go to 90% of its range. 90% of 100 is 90 foot-pounds. You add that to the minimum, which is 50, right? 50 times 90 is 140, right? That would be its maximum effective range. Even though that you can dial it to 150, it would not be accurate up to 150 foot-pounds. You would most likely incorrectly torque whatever you're working on. And this sounds weird, but it gets really obvious when you say you have a giant 3/4 inch drive torque wrench that goes up to 500 foot-pounds and you're trying to torque something that's only 7 foot-pounds. You really think that torque wrench is going to be accurate? Even though it has a 0 on it, you can technically set it to what is roughly 7 foot-pounds. It's obviously not going to measure that such a tiny torque. You're going to over torque that thing. You're going to break it. So that's why we have that formula, to make sure your torque wrench is correct. Now I did all this math in my head, so it might be a little off, but the principle stands. Tighten this down a little bit with my ratchet here. They didn't call them ratchets till your mom started using them. I'm a child. Oh. I lost it. Uh-oh. What did I do? Oh, there it is. We're just getting it started with this. We're going to use the torque wrench for the final torquing. So the torque spec on this particular car's lug nuts is 84 foot-pounds. I can't remember the range of my torque wrench, but I know it falls within that range. So let me go check it out. But first, this car can come off the jack. It's ready. Let me get these wheel chocks out too. Okay, so this torque wrench goes from 0 to 150. So 20% of 100 is 20 foot-pounds. 20% of 50, 10 foot-pounds, right? So you put those together, and the minimum range of this torque wrench is 30 foot-pounds, because 30 plus 0 is 30. I can't measure anything below that, right? 90% of 100 is 90. 90% of 50 is 45. 90 plus 45 is 135, I believe. So 135 foot-pounds would be the maximum range of this torque wrench. So 85 falls pretty much right in the middle of there, which means this torque wrench is perfect. 84, I'm sorry. Torque wrench is a torque spec for these lug nuts. So we set it at 84. You should always semi-tighten your bolts before you even put a torque wrench on them. Torque wrench isn't meant for assembly, it's meant for final torque tightening. Okay, once I get a click, I know I'm in business. There we go. Star pattern, of course. Once I'm done torquing, I like to do a quick around the world just to make sure I didn't miss any. Dummy check myself. Good. We're torqued down. Now I'm gonna have to Google. Alright, so the torque spec for this nut is 147 foot-pounds, which is, as we've just established, outside the range of my half-inch torque wrench. Which brings us to this absolute monster of a 3/4. So this one can go from 100 to 600. So it has a range of 500 foot-pounds. Because 600 minus 100 is 500, right? 20% of 500. Well, what is it? Well, we know 20% of 100 is 20. Times 5 is 100. So 100 foot-pounds is the minimum that you can torque with this. You can't torque anything smaller. I am not going to bother calculating the maximum because we know we need to go to 147, and that's for sure in the range. So this thing is heavy, folks. All right. So we're going to need a 32. We're going to go ahead and torque her down. Oh, will she fit? She'll fit, but the problem is my car isn't letting. You know what? I'll turn the wheel. That's what I'll do. There we go. There we go. And we are torqued to spec. All right. Alright, so repair's all done, wheels back on. Just gonna pop in this little cover here. Alright, I'm a professional, not. Don't try this at home, kids. It's highly complicated and advanced mechanical skills right here. It's called hitting shit with a hammer. There we go. All good. She's fixed.